we've got two elements internally, well, three actually. We've got Hawa, we've got Shahwa, and we've got Ghadab. These are internal tensions. And then we've got two external, the Dunya and Shaitaan. Let's look at Hawa first, which is quite complex. Hawa etymologically means you've lost your grounding. You're caught in something where you feel a loss of control. In this terminology, we're generally referring to cognitive beliefs that are causing a detriment. In the nomenclature of traditional Islam, we speak about Ahlul Ahwa. We're speaking about people who have deviant beliefs, basically.
Mm.
But as clinicians, we're looking at as this person's holding beliefs that aren't serving them, and they're not congruent with their their lives. So Hawa is specific to a belief that you hold. Whilst obviously it doesn't necessarily mean that in different contexts it can mean Shahwa. And Shahwa I'm translating as appetite. I don't like desire or passion with Shahwa because fundamentally it's a sexual appetite. And it's the appetite for food. So that's what we mean by shahwa when we're speaking about this. Whilst hawa is passion and desire from a more cognitive, like, a young girl's in love with this, toe rag, my daughter. And she believes he loves her and she loves him. She's in hawa, obviously as a father I would say that this is something to be fought because she's deluded. There's a delusion.
She's deluded, yeah. So it's a type of lack of reality, lack of sense of reality of the real.
She's attached. There's a need there though still, but she's attached that need and interpreted it that it's in this thing. And so the thing she's formulated and attached to, that is where this is the hawa, basically.
So it's like in this projected identification, we can call that. For example, like we talk about in our work, Norm, and all that, when we have a type of trauma, we have a type of loss of grounding, as you said, Hawa is kind of founded on this loss of grounding, this disconnection from ourselves, and then this projective identification of this belief that's not real. It can be protective, it can have some utility in some other way, but it's not inherently real. And because of that, it's Hawa, it's a deviant belief. And for that reason also, it's unhealthy for the person in the long run, even if it's protective in the short term for whatever reason. And I like how you said for the shahwa's appetite, which makes it much more, just humanizes the actual force, the human dynamic that's really just core of who we are.
The difference between ghadab and shahwa for me when I'm reflecting on them is ghadab is almost, it's defensive. Our anger enables us to defend ourselves and protect ourselves, but it also enables us almost to gain motivation to, I want this as well. And so it's the shahwa and the ghadab are in relationship with one another, but the shahwa is more obviously a desire. It's almost you're inclining towards something. You're realizing that you want that thing, and so there's these two energies that we're working with there. Yeah,
and they're inherently constructive, both of them. That's what I'm hearing when I hear you talking about that.
They're inherently constructive.
So, for example, in anger, I tell people, people have a lot of shame around their anger. Okay. Even if they don't even express it, they're like, I'm getting angry at my parent, or I'm getting angry at someone in my family who I was conditioned to not express anger to, or hold any grudges, or I know the rank of my parents in Islam and I don't want to earn the wrath of God, but I'm having these really raw, strong emotions. And I tell people, to differentiate between the existence and the feeling into of the emotion and the expression of the emotion, which can be healthy or unhealthy. But the actual feeling into and the having of the anger, for example, is not even, it's beyond natural. It's inherent to our existence, and it's an inherent piece of who we are and what it means to be a healthy human being in relationship to the world. And I say by its nature, when the ruh expresses anger, it's experiencing transgression or oppression or something in the world. And there's something wrong that here's this rousing, or as you kind of connected to, maybe there's an appetite or some sort of need.
I'd say where do we hear the anger? The anger comes from the child when he starts to say no, which is an identification with his sense of self in relationship to the adult, the carer. which is very scary, but it's also got to be encouraged to some degree. When that child says no, he's actually, I have a self in relationship to. So if you crush that, then you have a very big problem. You have no sense of self in relationship to the other, which will create resentment. So this anger is an incredibly important piece. And we don't want to be fighting the anger. We want to be able to refine it and ask what its need is. Like Gabor Mate says in Scattered Minds, he says, when you're shouting at the person that just cut you up on the road, it's speaking to something very primal back to your childhood. That is,
yeah,
that's true. So where's that coming from? That's the trigger, and you need to. But if you're in that rage, almost like I'm gonna get you, that's speaking to something very deep when you're speaking, because that's childlike language.
And the solution to that is not to shame off anger or to stifle further and to shame the resentment and shame on you for carrying all this, even though in some way you can't escape it. If you don't deal with it and you don't allow it in a healthy way, you carry the shadow of it for the rest of your life. And so in some way, being able to allow that natural process. It attacks
you then.
It attacks you.
It will come back to you.
It will. It has to move. The anger has to move. In some way, we need to be able to befriend our anger. This whole idea of la taghdab, being this faculty, there's no way. Because Imam Ghazali talks about the cardinal virtues and shaja'a being connected to, shaja'a being courage, of course, being connected to the faculty of anger and having that balanced.
And the scholars spoke about this in the commentaries on that hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said to the man, don't get angry. They spoke about how do we understand this, because you can't not get angry. So what's it speaking to? And so it shows these, how sophisticated our scholars were and how open and real they were. They weren't like dogmatic, like, well, the Prophet ﷺ said it, we have to follow. And this is how we always should be working as Muslims, people who are passionate about their faith. It's not this or that. It's like, it's both and. Adult, mature mindset is that. How can they're both speaking to something. How can we align them?
There's no sin and feeling.
Well, that's the point what you just said there, is that we're not saying act out, but we're saying, can you hold it?
Can you hold it?
Can you contain it? Can you have a place for it?